Did you know there is not just one type of rest? There is actually 7. And that is according to Dr Saundra Dalton-Smith, which I have written here, but ignore it because I spelled it wrong because I'm super dyslexic. So I'm Lottie Blake Somatic Hypnotherapist, and I've just created this wheel to sort of go through the 7 types of rest and see maybe we can make a gauge of sort of where you're up to with all 7 and any areas that maybe need a little work. So I'll talk you through the different types. So obviously if we do a wheel, there's got to be 8 segments. So we use one of the segments just to average this in. You could do a little picture, whatever you like. So the first type of rest we've got is physical. This is probably what you think of when you think of rest. Physical sleep, taking a nap, just resting your body, having a sit down, all those things come in this space. Then we've got sensory rest. This is where we can turn down the lights, we turn off our phone, we turn the music off, whatever it is that might be sort of background noise or, bright lights, just stuff that we're interested in, we're stimulated by, we turn it all off and we just sit quietly, or we're in a dark space. Or what it can also mean is finding a special sensory space with sensory equipment in, maybe some sensory light, some sensory music. So it doesn't have to be sitting in a dark room on your own. That can help if you need it, but it can also have things that can help our senses engage and feel relaxed. We've got emotional rest. This is one people can really struggle with, but it's so important. This is where we lighten the load. When you're just carrying all that stress, you're carrying emotions, you're carrying feelings, life is just on your shoulders and you just carried it and you're thinking, I don't want to be a burden to anyone, or I don't want to make anyone else feel as bad as I'm feeling, so I'll just keep it to myself, or I'll put all those people's feelings and needs before my own. This is where we need to stop that. This emotional rest is where we need to sit with a good friend, reach out to a therapist, or a free service. There's free services here in the UK where you can reach out and just talk to someone, just let off that steam, just say, hey, this is what I'm going through and it's really difficult. Can you just hold space? Can you listen to me? And then there's also what I do, which is somatic, is body movement. We sit with our body, we listen to ourselves. Quite often we think we're all in our heads thinking, we know everything that's going on, but there is so much beneath the surface. So we sit with ourselves, we sit with our bodies. I'm going to be posting some videos soon that you can sort of listen, and it guides you along in that process of listening to the body and what it's got to say and what it needs you to know, and how you can befriend yourself and do these things that your body needs. So this is such an important rest. But yeah, I think quite a lot of people find it quite a difficult one. The next one's spiritual rest. And again, maybe if you've got a spiritual practice, if you're quite religious, this might be an easy one for you. Whereas if you're not, maybe it might feel like a bit uncomfortable, or not something that you really put into your life. But with spiritual, it can mean religion, it can mean being at religious gatherings, it might mean solo sort of spiritual practices, but it can also mean, if you're not that way inclined, it can mean volunteering, it can mean doing something that's just bigger than yourself, being within the community, being doing something that's just outside of yourself, that focuses outward on the world. Maybe it's nature, maybe it's people, whatever it is. Just where are you focusing outside yourself at sort of the bigger picture, and where maybe are you incorporating spiritual practices? If you meditate, if you pray, if you sort of follow yoga or any of those things, how much of that are you getting in your day? So social rest, it can kind of mean 2 things. It can mean completely sort of putting boundaries in with people. If you think you're doing a lot of socializing, or people are draining your energy a bit, you can just sort of, no, I'm staying at home today, having a bit of private time. Or maybe you're spending a lot of time with a particular group of people and maybe not enough time with some others. So it can mean sort of that putting boundaries in and having less time with other people and just having some new solitary time. But what it can also mean is really looking at the people that you are surrounding yourself with, and are they sort of draining your energy, or are they giving you energy? And if it's draining, then maybe start to look at people that you could spend more time with, both in real life and online. Maybe, have check the people that are on your social media and the stuff they're posting. And if it's not making you feel good about yourself or the world or other people, start having a look for people that do. Yeah, I'm not saying, obviously, there is a lot of awful stuff going on in the world, and it's important to know. But if you don't have that balance, if you don't have people on your social media or in your life that really lift you up, inspire you, you think, oh my God, I really want to be doing what they're doing. I want to live my life the way they live their life. I want to have their attitude. Find those people and surround yourselves with them, because it will really help lift your mood, your spirits. It'll help give you focus on where you want to be in life. So that's important. The next bit is creative rest. Where are you getting your creativity out? We are all creative beings, even if you think, ugh, that's not for me, I'm not a creative being. Literally, by our very nature, we are creative. We are made on this planet. We create life. We have been created. We create business plans. We create what we're going to have for tea every night. There is so many places in which we can be creative as human beings. So find the ones that work for you. Like, not everyone. I'm not a drawer or a writer, as you can tell by my shoddy work on this piece of paper. Is not for me. But for me, I absolutely love circus skills, and I just happened upon it. And I was like, oh my God, this is me. It sets my soul on fire. I really love it. So find your thing and make sure it's going into every week. Don't have a week where you are not giving yourself space to be creative, because it is so important for this sense of rest. And then finally, we've got mental. So this is about, taking those mental breaks. If you're working on something, you're on the computer, make sure you're taking time away. And the important thing about this, which people really struggle with, is like literally not being there. So quite often people say, oh, I'm taking a rest, and they'll sit down and they'll get a cup of tea, and all their brain is doing is thinking about what's next, what have I got to do, what have I done wrong, oh my God. So what we need to do is quiet that mind down. Mindfulness practices can be really helpful. Focusing on these other types of rest, going to do something maybe a bit spiritual, maybe some socializing, maybe something creative, just doing some other things, maybe listening to, guided meditation, whatever it is that makes your mind not on all the worries of the day, or, what's happening next, what's happened in the past, that helps the mind be present in the moment, is going to help our mental rest. So what we need to do next is take our wheel, which I've just put this one together today, but I will make a nicer one that you can sort of print off. We take our wheel and we think about each area of this space, and we colour in the chart of how much rest, of this type of rest, we think we currently have in our day-to-day lives, in our weeks. Now, I haven't really numbered them. I did attempt to number them, but as you can see, got it all wrong. So basically, the bottom is less rest. The top is abundant of that type of rest. So yeah, I got to 10. I was like, oh my God, I've got loads of space. So this is above 10. This is abundance in physical rest. But yeah, I'll print off a proper copy that actually looks nice. Or you can just draw this yourself. But yeah, effectively, as you're colouring it in, if you don't get any of that type of rest, leave it blank. If you get a bit, colour in a bit. If you get loads of it, fill it up to the top. So I'm going to do mine, and then I'll talk us through it. So here is my finished chart, my wheel. So physical, I've gone about an 8. I think I get quite a bit of rest. Physically, my sleep's okay. And I do take time to just sort of sit and chill. However, I am a working mum. I work part-time. I've got my own business. I've got multiple hobbies. I've got ADHD. And so people can often say they've done about 3 different days in one day they're out with me. So I think there's probably space for more physical rest, but I'm doing all right. Sensory, however, I don't think I really get any sensory rest. I'm terrible for always being on my phone. I'll often have the TV on, the phone, and the laptop going and something else. I also live in a busy household with quite a lot of people, and a lot of chatter, and I don't think I take enough time to really do that. But what I do is currently I'm having a sound bath once a week, which is just sort of curated sensory input, that's really nice and relaxing. It really helps me connect and be mindful. So there's a little bit going on, but definitely room for improvement. Emotional, again, I'm pretty alright. I attend talk therapy. I've got a lot of friends who work in mental health who are really great at holding space, expressing their feelings. So I think it's pretty alright. There is always space for improvement, and I think although I work in this space, I love holding space for other people. It's different when it's talking about your own emotions, and I still I'll be potting around and I go, oh yeah, I actually need to hold space for myself. And actually, because I'm too busy doing it for everyone else, so I need a bit more of that. But again, this is what this is so good for. It's making us aware of where that shift needs to happen, where we need to make some changes. Spiritual for me is probably the highest one. I get quite a lot of spiritual rest. I have had spiritual practice in my life for about 20 years, and I think I'm quite integrated with it now, so I'll tend to just unconsciously have a lot of spiritual practice in my day, my week. What I will say though, and whilst there's a little bit gap, that nowadays I don't do a lot of conscious. I used to be like, oh, I'm going to make time on Friday to do this thing. Because it's quite integrated, I don't do that now. So there's definitely space to do a bit more conscious spiritual activity, and definitely more space to focus that outwardly a bit in community. Social, I think I'm quite good now online. I tend to curate any of my social medias to people who I feel quite inspired by, who light me up, who I'm interested in what they've got to say, what they're doing. They're taking the action in the world that I want to see. However, physically, as I said before, I'm so busy. Actually hanging out with friends and seeing people is definitely an area that needs fixing. I need to be doing more of that. Creativity, I get quite a lot of creative rest in my week. As I don't know if I mentioned before, but circus is my thing, that I really enjoy. So I've been doing bits of that. I'm also ADHD, so I pick up hobbies. I'm a hobby hopper. So I've always got something on the go and multiple things, and I can always go back to them. I think I started a cross stitch probably about 2 years ago that I'll go back to every so often. But that's my version of creativity. As said, other people's might be food, might be cooking, but it might also be something completely different. Like it could be doing an Excel spreadsheet, it could be helping bring up the children, or it literally can be anything, whatever you define as creative. So that's for you. And then mental rest. This, I really struggle with mental rest, and I will often be like, you need to be mindful, and meanwhile I am so thinking of what could happen, what if, what's going to happen tomorrow, what will happen in 10 years, oh my god, what happened 10 years ago, constant brain chatter. And so yeah, I find that quite difficult. However, I have tried recently, particularly with eating. I used to just be like, I'll eat at my desk, or I'll eat while I'm working. I've been trying to, put anything away and just sit and eat and be with my food, be with my body. Is it enjoyable? What am I liking about it? Just having those moments of mindfulness. But yeah, definitely, I think sensory and mindfulness are two things I definitely need to work on most. So there you go, that's my completed. So exactly like this, I said, I'll do one that you can print off, or you can create your own. You do whatever you feel right for you. It's completely subjective. Don't, if anyone's like, oh, you get loads of rest, like, it's not their opinion or their projection. It's about you and how you feel. So it's about listening to yourself. So there's no right or wrong. You do whatever feels right. Have a look at those spaces. Look for you where, maybe there's some topping up that needs doing. Think about the ways in which maybe that's a struggle, and then think about sort of building that up and things that you can do to build that up and to fill those gaps. So I hope that's helpful. Do let me know if you've got any questions. But yeah, happy resting.